Hi YouTube! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about a fashion brand that was not originally a fashion brand. And that is going to be a 305-year-old house, so founded in 1717 in Paris, France, and it is Faure Le Page. So I love Faure Le Page. I love the history. I think the bags are super interesting. The canvas is beautiful, but it has an interesting history in large part because they really weren't doing fashion or relevant to fashion until about 10 years ago. And so I feel like that this is a very interesting house to do. So as I said, it was founded in 1717 and it actually stayed with the same family for over 200 years. It was through 7 generations, and then in 1925 the family sold the brand and it changed hands a lot between 1925 and 2011-2012, which is when Augustin de Bovent then purchased the house. He was actually a director with Dior, and he made this career switch and was very fascinated by the history of the brand, which I'll get into in just a second, and went with the sort of motto, I guess, of armed for seduction, because he wanted the bags themselves to be very seductive, be something that women want to have, enjoy the touch, enjoy the feel, while also paying homage to the brand's history. So the brand was not founded as a leather brand, it was founded as a weapons manufacturer, and while they were not specifically weapons for war, they were very much ceremonial weapons. So in 18th and 19th century, so the 1700s and 1800s in France, it was a very common thing for the upper echelons of French society to have ceremonial weapons. So back when France was under control of a king, you had to always come armed to the court so that you were ready to defend the king should the need arise. And so many of the French nobility, including people such as King Louis XVI himself, as well as Marie Antoinette, had various pieces from Faure Le Page, and this continued on even with Emperor Napoleon having his silver ceremonial sword by the house, and French writers of the 1800s would commonly make reference to this house with regards to weaponry, such as training at the school of Le Page. And that is really interesting to me, and you see that come up a lot in the brand. Now, when the current owner and director took over, that is when we see a lot of these bags come out, and a lot of the bags are based off of versions from things such as satchels that you would use to carry shotgun shells, or pouches that would contain the weapons, because the house, while it did make beautiful weaponry, it also made leather goods that went along with that weaponry, its storage, its use, and its functionality. And so that is why the most popular bag by Faure Le Page, the Daily Battle Tote, is called the Daily Battle Tote, is because while the weaponry itself was not necessarily originally meant to be used in the act of war, we did see Faure Le Page really be a big armorer for the revolutions that occurred both in 1789 and 1830. And I just find that very interesting given their close ties to making so many ceremonial pieces for the French aristocracy, particularly for the French monarchy, as well as for Emperor Napoleon. Now, I think that one of the most interesting things about the brand is their canvas. So they are primarily a canvas-based brand, and then they now also have a line of PVC that is meant for the pool, as well as a embroidered line. It has a few pieces in it that is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. But their overwhelming use is of canvas and of high quality canvas with leather trim. So the canvas itself actually takes about 4 months to make, process start to finish. And that's because it uses an extremely difficult technique of screen printing called the Leon technique. And this involves many different stencils, many different colors, many different hues. And one canvas can have 5 different colors and several different hues within it. And so to get that effect and to get it consistent every single time is exceptionally difficult and time consuming. Just lining up the stencils themselves is extremely time consuming because this is a very intricate pattern. The pattern itself is based off of scales. There are a few different comparisons out there. Some say that is based off of mermaid scales, which is generally what the house says, that it's based off of mermaid scales because mermaids were seductive. But they also recognize that it looks like dragon scales as well as like chainmail armor, calling back to the history of the house. Now, within that intricate pattern, every 7 full scales, you will see the writing either Faure Le Page or Paris 1717. And that is because they really want to make sure the history of the house is incorporated with their designs. Now, because it is such an intricate design with so many colors, so many hues, so much detailing, the stencil itself, the stencils themselves must be lined up. You can't even be off a 1/4 millimeter. And if you are, it ruins the entire canvas and you have to start from scratch. Now, once you actually have the canvas printed, then you go into waxing it and texturing it, because it does have a bit of a texture to it, and sealing it, of course, and to produce this final canvas. And that's why it takes 4 months, is because there are so many steps to actually produce this canvas to create the beautiful look that we see in the Faure Le Page design. Now, there's not just one color of canvas going on here. You have many different colors of canvases, and even there are a couple of canvases where we see the same canvas, but it will be done with different colored leather, making the canvas look super unique. And I love the fact that while it is one pattern, there's so many different color options to fit your lifestyle. And I love the fact that the colors themselves tie back to Parisian, French, and the house's history. So first off, you've got Paris blue. That is the most recognizable. It is the only color that is available in all 3 of the different types of materials, as the PVC and embroidered are only available in that Paris blue, which is stunningly gorgeous. Now, it's called Paris blue because it very much looks like Paris. If you go to Paris, you have that beautiful blue sky. You have sort of like those blue-gray rooftops. You've got that light sand color in a lot of the building's stone. And you've also got the yellow from the lights of Paris. And when you look at that canvas, it does look like Paris and it feels like Paris, and I love that. You've also got just this gorgeous rich green called Empire Green, of course calling back to the imperial days of France and Napoleon. You have this burgundy color, which is this rich wine color like the wine that you see coming out of France. There is a walnut brown, which is a call back to the wood that would be on some of the weaponry. You have steel gray, which of course goes back to the weaponized steel. And I love the fact that there's so much thought that goes into this. Additionally, basically all of the bags are customizable with these medallions, and you can customize them with letters or with different badges. So for instance, they have a 7 with the arrow through it. 7 is a lucky number. You have this armored glove that's an option. I believe that there's an option with an armored helmet, and everything that has been done with thought and with intention. And I really like that element of the brand. Now, in addition to all these wonderful things, we haven't talked about the bags yet. And the bags are so fabulous. They do both bags and small leather goods. There are some pouches, some wallets, some accessories, but where the brand is still so new and they've only been creating fashion like this for about 10 years, that's why I think that you don't necessarily see as many pieces. But at the same time, I don't feel like the brand is lacking for not having a huge amount of variety, because within the things that they do offer, because of the different sizes and the different colors, you end up with mini bags, you end up with small bags, medium bags, large bags, extra large bags, different styles of bags, different preferences, be it with a flap or with a zipper. And I feel like that's just very versatile, and that you can certainly find a piece that will work well for you with what they have created. Now, let's actually talk about the bags, because I love their different bags. Now, their most popular one is going to be the Daily Battle Tote. Now, the Daily Battle Tote comes in two versions: the regular Daily Battle, which is an open tote, or the Daily Battle Zip. Now, the Zip only comes in two sizes, which will be comparable probably about to the Louis Vuitton Neverfull MM and PM. Now, these bags are oftentimes compared to the Neverfull, but there are some differences. So one, if you are looking for a tote but you are not interested in the Neverfull, I think that this is a really great option, but there are some differences to consider even if you are considering the Neverfull versus this tote. First off, the Neverfull is a wider based tote, whereas the Daily Battle is narrower. Now, that is also not just true for width, but in the actual tapering of the bag. If you look at a Neverfull, it goes out quite a bit from the bottom of the bag, whereas with the Daily Battle, it is much more vertical in nature. So if you want a more symmetrical bag, I guess, then the Daily Battle would be a good option. Now, the Neverfull does come with a pochette. The Daily Battle does not. You can, however, purchase that pochette that matches the bag, or if you want it in another color from your bag. The bag itself is cheaper than the Neverfull. You also have the fact that with the Neverfull, well, you do just have one interior pocket, not counting the detachable pochette. But with the Daily Battle, you have several pockets. Now, one of them is, and this is actually really cool in some regards, but not necessarily functional, one of the pockets is actually stitched in the shape of a pistol. And I find that very interesting. I'm not sure, one, that it would hold a pistol, or two, if you're not trying to put a pistol in your bag, I'm not really sure how much can actually fit in that pocket because it's a weird shape. Now, it's very cool that they've done that, and I really like that. But it is sort of not necessarily the most functional of features. What is a very functional feature, though, is the fact that with the Daily Battle, the straps are actually adjustable. And this is really, again, showing the thoughtfulness of the brand. There are 17 holes on each strap. And so that's 17 because you have two straps. And I love the fact that that detail is incorporated into the bag. Now, the Daily Battle, while being their most popular tote, is definitely not their only bag. And another bag that is extremely popular, while not necessarily my style, is going to be the Caliber bag. And this bag is a much more, it's sort of like a camera bag shape, but it has this gun shape on the outside of it, calling back to the original purpose of the house. And this is their second most popular bag. Now, like I said, not necessarily my style, but it is very interesting and it is very unique to Faure Le Page. Now, my favorite of their bags is going to be the Express 21. I think that this is such a cool bag. I've heard people compare it to the Pochette Métis because it does have a detachable crossbody, it has a top handle, it has a flap. But I feel like that this bag is more casual. You have more options because of the color. I love the fact that it has a zipper while also having that same type of closure with the flap on the front. And I just think that is so cool and so interesting. And when you put the two bags together, while similar, they are definitely very distinct and unique in and of themselves. And I love this version. One of the things that I've not necessarily been drawn to about the Pochette Métis is that the way that I would be using it is as a casual crossbody, and it's not necessarily the most casual of crossbodies, whereas I feel like that this one would fit that aesthetic really well. You also have another size in this bag, as many of their bags, and I think actually all of their bags do come in at least 2 sizes. Now the bigger version of this is much more like a briefcase laptop style bag, and so while that is functional, I love this Express 21. Now, this has given you a brief introduction to the house. If you are wanting to shop it, this is where you're going to run into some issues. There are 2 stores in Australia, one new one just opened up, and then you've got a couple of stores in Asia. I know there's one in Singapore, but then all the other stores are in Europe, and I think there are only about 23 stores worldwide. So that means that there's no store in North America, South America, Africa. Most of Asia does not have access to a store, and so that is kind of a bummer because we can't go and feel the pieces in person, and the colors are just so gorgeous in person, even more so than how they show up online. And so it is kind of a bummer that we in America don't even have a place that we can go to. There's nowhere in this part of the world that we can go to look at these beautiful bags. But there is an online website, and they do ship internationally. There will be duties and customs included at checkout. And so you need to make sure to retain your receipt so that when the bag comes through customs and duties, if you are asked to pay, you can show the proof that you actually paid through Faure Le Page, and so they are handling that side of the transaction. And for America, you do get $800 duty free. So if you are ordering something like a small leather good, you will not have to pay duties on that, but for a bag, you will. Now, I really think that this is a great brand to look into. I think that they have a lot of very unique pieces. Even though with the tote, there's only so much you can do with a tote, I do think that it has a lot of really cool features in and of itself that other totes do not. I think that a lot of their bags take some of these classic shapes. In particular, they take a lot of inspiration from the weaponry hunting side of the brand and those types of bags that were used to create bags that are usable for today. And I think that this is a fantastic brand to look into, particularly if you are wanting some type of a canvas piece. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day, YouTube. Bye!